Hello, everybody, on this wonderful January Friday. It may be Friday where you're at, maybe it's Saturday where you're at. But if you could, just go ahead and drop in the chat. I'll do some intros here in a second, but just drop in the chat kind of where you're from. We'd love to hear where you're chiming in from. And I'm going to go ahead and share a poll here as well that everyone can kind of fill out. And if you can, just go ahead and answer the poll there and let us know kind of which product you're coming from. This will kind of help us know how to best answer questions and those types of things. If you're great at both, that'd be awesome. Hopefully we've got a good mix of people here wanting to learn about SmartSuite, maybe some SmartSuite people wanting to learn about Softr. I think hopefully this will be a good kind of combined session. We've got a very, very special guest with us today who has made some incredible sample data to work with, an incredible experience for us to kind of play with these two amazing products. So we'll give people just a few more minutes to kind of trickle in here, maybe 3 more minutes or so. And if you can, just go ahead and answer that poll. After the poll, you can just put in the chat there where you're chiming in from. Looks like we've got some people from Cape Town, South Africa, from Portland, California. We've got some people from Ghana. It's great to see all the different nationalities and locations that we've got represented here. So that's awesome. So we'll just take another 3 minutes or so to fill that out. Looks like we've got 19 people in the chat today, which is pretty decent turnout. I think we'll have some more people trickling in. 20 now. South Africa, awesome.
I love this global audience.
Yeah, we've got quite the expansive geographies going on here. Should be able to see each other's chats. Yes, you should be able to. There are some tabs up at the top up there. Chat, polls, and handouts. If you click up there, you should be able to toggle kind of between those. Hopefully, you should be able to see everybody's chat. If you can't see the chat, let me know. I'll have to go in and here we go. Let me make this public. There we go. So I just made the chat public so everyone can see each other's chats there. So we've got polls. If you can go ahead and put in the poll. Hopefully, everybody can see this the results here. I'll share these results in just a second, but it looks like we've got 55% of people thus far are from Softr. We've got 42% of people from SmartSuite, and we've got one person that knows both of them equally well, which is pretty cool to see. Bay Area, California. Melanie, welcome. Calling in from Canada, awesome. Very cool. Awesome to see everybody. Well, while everyone is still kind of filling out the poll and introducing themselves, I will also do the same. Today, we're going to be talking about building an applicant tracker in SmartSuite and Softr. And what I want you to do today is to kind of expand your mind a little bit in thinking about how you can take what Marcus and I are going to show you today and how you may be able to apply that to your own product or app or website that you're wanting to build. Because although we're going to be diving into some fun sample data, we hope that kind of the intention with this was that you can take this data as kind of a generic, very contextual kind of application and apply it to your own context. So we're really thrilled to kind of be doing this today, building an applicant tracker. I'd like to introduce Marcus Garrett, who's a SmartSuite expert and consultant. He's got some awesome stuff prepared for you today, and we're super happy to have him with us as well. And maybe in just a second, when he gets ready to do the kind of the SmartSuite side of things, he can speak a little bit more about his experience and what what he does. My name is Patrick Ford. I'm the Softr Customer Success Manager, and run a number of different webinars and things here at Softr. as well as handle our enterprise clients and business plan clients and things like that. So super happy to be with you today. On the agenda, we've got first kind of an overview of SmartSuite and building the kind of sample application that we've got for you today. We'll take some questions. So as you ask questions in the chat, I'll be marking those as questions. And once Marcus is kind of done doing that overview and building, we will answer a lot of the questions that you have specifically about SmartSuite, the ones that I've tagged in the chat. We'll do a brief introduction and kind of overview of Softr as we kind of build the applicant tracker. So I'll be showing you the building process in addition to Softr itself. And again, we'll be kind of taking some questions at the end, questions, comments, and feedbacks toward the end there. All right, let's check on the poll real quick. Looks like we've got a pretty good split here. We've got 53% of people are at Softr, or have the most knowledge of Softr. 40% of people say that they are more familiar with SmartSuite, and then we've got again one person who says that they know both equally. 25 people in the chat or in the session today. We can always you'll get an email with the recording of the session. So if at any point you need to dip out of the session, just know that you can always access this recording. We'll be posting this to our YouTube channel as well, so you can always go back and watch this. And then we'll also be providing a transcript as well. All right, so without further ado, Marcus, I will turn it over to you. I will go over this portion as well. So let me just go ahead and stop sharing these materials here. And Marcus, you can go ahead and share your screen and take it away.
All right. All right. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Marcus Garrett, or I should say, Hoy. I am a no-code, low-code consultant based out of California. Welcome. And really, what I do is I help people solve business problems, and really um, use tools like SmartSuite to help uh, give people more time back so that they can be human. Everybody works really, really hard, and it feels like every year we're all being asked to do more with less resources. And I really want to help people be able to keep their work more sustainable, more efficient, so that we have more time to spend time doing the things that we love, and that um, gives us kind of a zest for life back. Um, I'm a very easygoing person. I just like to help people, and that's really why I love this work. And so today, I am going to show you my applicant tracker that I am using to fill a couple critical positions for my pirate crew. You know, in these treacherous seven seas, it's actually very difficult to find reliable talent. And as you can imagine, scheduling is such a beast. And so through the power of SmartSuite, I've been able to um, really streamline all of my operations here. And I think I've learned a few things about how to do this well, as I plan my pillages, and as I plan courses to go look for buried treasure. And I really wouldn't be as effective as a pirate captain as I am today without the help of SmartSuite. So really wanted to kind of run you through um, how we've set things up here, and like tell you a bit about SmartSuite. SmartSuite is a work management platform. Um, there's a lot of ways to describe it, but like really, it is a platform that allows you to replicate, create almost any business process. Um, you might recognize this. It looks similar to different tools. We're looking at something that is akin to a spreadsheet, but in this spreadsheet, um, we can draw on the power of the database to be able to link different tables and all of their data. And so we have these different tables here that all have that are all for different purposes. Through the power of SmartSuite, we are able to pull data from these different tables and have them interact, and not even in this applicant tracking solution, but with any other tools that we have in our SmartSuite workspace. So I think as we go into this, that will make a bit more sense. I know in this webinar we have a bunch of SmartSuite um, users, so you're already familiar. But um, for this demo, we're going to look at a few positions and trying to fill the one that I'm trying to fill most is this head chef role. We have a couple of other roles open, but um, you know, we have a big crew. We have a lot of mouths to feed. We recently lost our previous chef. He got uh, he got laid off. He had to walk the plank, and now we're looking for a backfill. So within SmartSuite, we can input data like a spreadsheet, but there are additional benefits to using a tool like this where we can make all of these columns, um, which we call fields within SmartSuite, do a bunch of different things. So we're looking at this status column here. It is color coded. These are predefined options. We can change them all. We can add as many options as we would like to. And you're looking at this field here. Um, this is a link to record field, and it is actually a direct link to our applicants table. So everyone who applies um, gets their own record. Rows within SmartSuite are called records, and they are um, able to be linked to the individual positions. And so we see within here that for the head chef role, we actually have several applicants, and we can find out more details uh, about them by going in to the applicants table. Another really great aspect of SmartSuite is that we can transform our data to look different ways that suit our needs. So for me, um, I think the spreadsheet view, this grid view, is great for certain things, but I'm trying to find the right person, and I don't think that this is how I would really want this to be displayed. So we can change this to a card view that gives us the nice pictures. I can see everyone's faces. I know typically for other histories, um, you try not to look at people's photos because that introduces bias. Um, but for what I'm trying to do here, I think a picture actually tells us a lot about the applicant, and all of this is very important for us as we make our decisions. For instance, we have Sanji here. I can tell by his photo that he is a smoker. Um, and for me, that's actually great because I like smoked salmon, and that actually is working well in his favor. So every record can be opened up just like you saw, and we can see all the information at a glance. Again, we have that linked relationship to the positions table. I can click directly into this and also open up the position that they are applying for, see everything at a glance, and go back to my applicant, easily scroll between them. So we have a lot of ways that we're able to play with this data here, make it, you know, transform it to all of our needs. And through SmartSuite, we also have access to automations where we can, if we change the value of a particular cell, it can automatically perform tasks like, you know, advance someone to the next stage, or to change the status of something else. We really have a lot of things that we're able to do within this platform. Um, I think one of my favorite things is the ability, um, not just to create, you know, a task tracker, which is a very common use of this platform, but it's how all of these um, different field types will work together. So if I create a new task called schedule interview, we can assign it to a person, can choose the priority, choose a due date. And what's great is all of these fields are all connected. And so you'll see the color of this due date here. It is yellow. And as we approach that date, if it gets really, really close, you know, this will change to let me know if something's late based on the current status. So if I change this to complete, um, you know, it actually changes this to a check mark, because these fields have all been interconnected. And so SmartSuite provides a lot of really cool features that go above and beyond typical project management, typical task tracking, typical spreadsheets. The platform offers so much, and the way that it's designed, um, if you're, you know, familiar with other tools, um, like Airtable, I also use that too. You know, they're similar platforms, but there are key differences. And what I love about SmartSuite is that the way these fields are designed are just very, I would say, um, just very intuitive and built in a way that already anticipates what the users are trying to do, and like things that would be useful. Whereas other platforms, you kind of might have to build in that own logic and do work around to kind of achieve some of that same um, usefulness. Most of that is built out of the box within SmartSuite. So here's our overview. I think now we can take this into Softr and see the advantages of connecting SmartSuite to a platform like Softr.
Yeah, and Marcus, can you touch a little bit about the views as well inside of SmartSuite and kind of explain maybe you touched a little bit on how to visualize it a little bit differently. Can you touch on like the different types of views that are available
Oh yeah,
as well?
absolutely. So within SmartSuite, we have a lot of different views. Again, we have a calendar view, We have this Kanban view that's great for task tracking. We have a timeline view. One of my favorites and is this map view that allows you to, show where different things are. So maybe you are an office or you are a company that has 15 different locations around the world. You can input the address of every different company or every different office, and then have that display across an interactive map. It's all powered by Google Maps. All of the addresses are validated by Google Maps. I'm taking a voyage to Thailand soon, and I use SmartSuite to plot out all of the different places that I want to visit, and like map view has been like really great to kind of get a sense of like of the space. And as I put things in, it helps me plan my trip so that I can, like make sure that I'm doing things that are closer together and maximizing my time. There's also one that I want to highlight, which is this dashboard view, which allows you to um, make a lot of interactive widgets and charts, and put in data. You have all of these widgets that can display different metrics. Um, there's so much that's just kind of built in. One thing that I love is that you can embed custom code. You can have text blocks. You can embed full web pages. Really, what you're able to do with the dashboard view is kind of unparalleled, um, just in terms of platforms like this. It's one of its strongest features, and I think for small businesses, which is who you know I like to work with. There's a lot of out of the box, and that is even available um, on the free tier that is just remarkable. Um, Other views that I really like, the Gantt view just came out a couple weeks ago, like right at the beginning of the year. This this Gantt view in particular is amazing. The way that it can track timelines, it can offset dates, you can build in different dependencies and defaults. Um, Again, I work a lot with Airtable too. The Gantt view within Airtable is very limited. Um, I prefer Smart Suites. I think this is a really powerful Gantt view. I think it's up there with the best Gantt views um, across the no code, low code ecosystem. I think that there's a lot to love with this platform. Is there anything else you'd like me to go over? I'm happy to share anything.
Yeah, yeah. So if anyone has any questions, please post those in the chat, and I can get Marcus to answer those. In the meantime, though, while people are thinking of questions, can you go over a little bit about the different field types as well? Because I think as we were talking before the webinar, you were showing me like a lot of the different field types that were available, and things like that. You mentioned kind of how they're interconnected and they're a little bit more
Mhm.
special than just like a typical field, maybe in like Airtable or Google Sheets or something.
Yeah, I would love to. So for this demonstration, I've kept it very simple to where we just have a name field, but there are some cool fields like the name field here. There's a full name field, and typically within a spreadsheet or other similar products, you have to you would typically create a field for first name and a field for last name. Well, SmartSuite has these cool compound fields where you can in someone's full name as individual, fields within that field, and you can access within formulas specific parts of that compound field. It also works with addresses. And again, this is what I was telling you about of being able to have a full address and have that validated with Google Maps and um, and have all of these as individual components that can be accessed. And so if you're making a CRM or anything like that, I think these compound fields are very, very helpful. There's other unique field types. Like there's a social media field that has, you know, spaces where you can input someone's full social media. So um, if you want to input all of their stuff slash digital, LinkedIn, and if any are blank, that's fine, but you who can see which of these networks have have been filled in and which ones are actually blank. And so it gives you a nice look at a glance. And it's just like a really nifty feature that I've never seen before in this type of platform. There are a lot of fields to explore. There are several that are unique just to SmartSuite. I really love this color picker. I use it for branding projects. Um, we can put all of the brand colors and or like create different color palettes. There's honestly just so much, and it would take a whole webinar just to talk about all of the field types.
Yeah, that's cool. And I did want to also iterate that since SmartSuite is a new data source for Softr, we're actually soft on the Softr side of things. We're actually still in the process of implementing a lot of these more advanced field types. From the Softr side, this is actually not something that we've had to deal with before because everything has always been so simple. But these really powerful fields are something that we're slowly adding to on the Softr side of things as well. And as I'll highlight in just a second, you'll see that the reason that Marcus has kind of kept this more simplistic is because we've got some only certain fields from SmartSuite actually currently integrate with Softr, since SmartSuite is still one of our newer data sources, but I can go over that in a second. Yeah, this is great. I don't see any questions currently in the chat, but if anyone has any, please continue to send those in very quickly. And I think that's it. So if someone wanted to, can you just touch briefly, Marcus, as well on the ability to share and collaborate? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so sharing within SmartSuite, you have a ton of different options. The permissions within SmartSuite are very granular, where you can, give people access to this whole thing. This whole container that we're in is called a solution, and all of these, and so you can share the whole solution and all of its different tables, or share individual tables, or lock down different fields. Um, for instance, here I can just share this view. I can make a public view and um, just give that to people and have it be a read-only view. Just like just for information. So, I could use this, um, you know, if I have my own jobs that I want to share publicly, I could use this share link. Now, there would be um, some limits to what people could interact with, and that's where something like Softr um, really comes in and starts to fill those gaps. But there is a lot that we're able to do. I can share all of the fields. I can share only what is visible. you know Depending on the type of collaboration that you want to do, really, the sky is the limit.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. I think this is an excellent overview. And yeah, so we'll try to connect this up to Softr real quick. And again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to post those in the chat, and I can, we can answer those towards the end as well. But I'll go ahead and share my screen real quick, and we can do some building here in Softr, and we'll actually connect to the solution in SmartSuite that Marcus has created for us as well. So let me go ahead and switch this over. So I'll just jump into kind of right where Marcus left off here. He's so kindly invited me to the solution that he's made for this, that we'll be connecting to the Softr side of things. And if you're not familiar with Softr is primarily a front end for data sources. They allow you to create really custom branded portals, and allow external users or internal users to interface with data just in a different way, right? So they can still create and update and delete all sorts of data within your data source within SmartSuite. But you can permission them and allow only certain people to view certain things. You can brand that interface or display charts and these types of things. So what we'll do is we just want to create, again, this is a very kind of very broad example that we're showing, but we did that kind of intentionally so that you can take this idea or this template and kind of apply it to your own context. Maybe you're not hiring for somebody, but maybe someone is looking to join a community, right? And you want them to apply to join that community, or you want someone to apply to be an expert. We do this for our own Softr Experts program, right? So there may be all sorts of applications for why you may want to build an applicant tracker. And so Marcus has created us kind of really three main tables here. We've got this tasks one that he created as an example. We've got positions, applicants, and interviewers that we'll be kind of integrating. And if I jump over to Softr real quick, when you first log into Softr, you'll be presented kind of with a dashboard. So this is my personal one. But when you log in, there's probably not going to be any applications here yet. And so you may be taken through kind of a setup process. But when you go to actually create a new application, there's a variety of different templates here that you can integrate. And we're currently actively adding SmartSuite as a data source to a lot of these templates as well, so that you can just copy the solution from SmartSuite into that template. And so we'll be adding that in very, very shortly. But I'm going to go ahead and create just a blank application here. And you'll be given some kind of sample pages to start with, and you can choose to disable these if you want to. In general, though, I typically leave all of these except for maybe the list details, and we can keep the form page. We'll rename these, but I do always like to keep the sign up, the sign in, the reset and forgot password, user profile. These are kind of core things that all apps need, right? You need these pages to allow your users to do these sorts of things. So I'll go ahead and hit create my application here. It'll create my app. And then the thing that I wanted to highlight as well is that because Softr uses external data sources, you do actually need to connect to those data sources. So now that my kind of page is created here, I'm actually going to go back to my dashboard and show you how to connect that. So if I go down here to the bottom left, Let me zoom in. Well, it is zoomed in. I'll click on my name down here, and you can see in workspace settings, I've got data sources, collaborators, plan and billing, all these sorts of things. But if I click on data sources, you can see I've got some Airtable keys, some Google Sheets keys, and then I've got this nice SmartSuite data connection down here. So when you get ready to set up your app, you will at some point connect a data source here. You can choose this SmartSuite, which is still in beta for us that we're adding. And once you hit continue, it'll actually authenticate. It'll ask you to authenticate in your browser with SmartSuite if you haven't already. If you're already logged in, it'll just kind of do it automatically. And I've already got that added, so I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. Let's jump back into our application real quick. And Softr is made up of some core things here. For you Softr users, this is going to be kind of old hat for you. But for those of you who are more experts on the SmartSuite side, hopefully this will be helpful. Softr is made up of pages. Your app is made up of pages, as we just saw a few minutes ago. So I've got a forgot password page, a form, a reset password. I've got a user profile page, and on each of these pages, they're all made up of these Lego type pieces called blocks. And blocks can be one of two different types. They can either be a dynamic block or a static block. So for your static blocks, if we go back to our home page here, static blocks are basically things that never change, right? These are going to be things that you have to manually go in and change, right? So if I want this to say something like pirate crew, let's say Marcus's pirate crew application portal, something like that, right? That's never going to change. That title is always going to stay the same. So we've got a variety of different static blocks that you can change in this way. And I can just go to this plus sign in between each block to add a new one. And you can see over here, I've got two tabs, dynamic and static. Underneath static, I've got headers that I can add. I've got heroes, I've got feature grids, call to actions, testimonial blocks that I can add. And all of these are completely customizable. So if I click on this block, you can see not just the title, but I can also change the styling of this. So if I want the padding to be really tight, or I want the background to be black instead of white, I can do all these sorts of changes really quickly and easily. And each block comes with its own different set of customizable options. So your testimonial block or your section block here may have different options than, say, a hero block that you can change. So that's kind of our static blocks. And then we have what are called dynamic blocks. And this is where Softr is super powerful in displaying this dynamic data that we may be pulling from our data source, SmartSuite. So underneath dynamic blocks, I've got forms and user accounts, payment blocks, list blocks, which we will be building out in just a second. I've got list details, an inbox, Kanban, charts, all kinds of different blocks that we can add to our application here. So for our applicant tracker, maybe I would want to have a list of open positions here, right, that people can actually apply for. So what I might do is I might add a block here that is a list block, and let's try to find one that's pretty close to the job that we want to apply for. Let's do. I'm not sure if we've got pictures. Do we have pictures for the positions? I don't think we have pictures for those. So maybe let's use a table block instead. I like the table block. So I'll just add a table block here. And in this table block, it's going to ask me first to select a data source, which in this case is going to be our SmartSuite data source that we've created. And then it's going to ask me about the workspace. Anchor Digital is Marcus's workspace, so I'll choose that one. The solution is that applicant tracking system that he made. And then the table here is just going to be the positions table, right? Because that's what we're wanting to display here is the open positions. And so you'll notice that it's giving me like kind of the correct number of positions here that are open, but it's not displaying the correct data. So what I can do is I can go over here to the content tab, and if I scroll down to I've got some filtering here, which we can talk about if anyone's interested. And I can't see the chat, by the way. So Marcus, ping me if there's like a question that I need to address immediately. But then if I scroll down, you can see I've got this section here called item fields. And if there's one of these that I don't need, I can just delete it, right? You can see that image kind of went away there. But I've got this simple text. Maybe instead of the text, maybe the content of this is actually the role. Let's see, what do we have here? We've got our role. So that's the kind of the role that the person may be applying for. So maybe I would want to set this to role, right? So we've got head chef, quartermaster, first mate, and navigator. And then I've got a status here, which we can change as well. So maybe instead of a checkbox, maybe this is just kind of like a tag status, right? And I can actually change this to be the status field that we've got. So we've got approved, approved, approved. And then maybe I've got, let's see, what other properties do we have over here? We've got open position status. Maybe that's the one that we want to display here. So maybe the position status is the content that we want to display. So you can see that it's very easy to change what is displayed in a list. And for each of these items, I can, of course, change all of the styling here. So if I want this to be a different color, I want this to be blue instead of, instead of gray. We've got lots of different customization there. So I'm not going to dive too deep into this just for the sake of time. But you can kind of see how these fields map to the fields that we have in our data source as well. So one thing that I do want to do, though, is I do want to add maybe let's say a button for each of these so that a person can click on the button and apply to that position, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this Actions tab here, and I'm actually going to add an item button here. And this item button, what it's going to do is it's actually going to open a details page. And a details page is just going to display just the information about just that record that they've selected. So I'll go to open a details page here. And maybe instead of open, maybe this will be like apply, right? Or view job, view position, something like that, right? And I don't actually have a page for that yet. So I'm going to create a details page to display that position's information. So I'll just click kind of this generic details page, and you can create these from scratch, of course, if that's something you want to do. But in this heading here, I can, of course, change all of this information. You can see that it's already pulled in all of that stuff, right? I don't have to reattach anything, but I do have to tell it what content I want to display. So maybe it doesn't have an image, but maybe the heading is, of course, the actual name of the role. Maybe the text is like the first created, like when this was created, the created date of the job. And then maybe the rich text here is the description, right? The detailed description about that job. So you can see that it's pulling this data as well, right? And we could, of course, do tagging. So maybe this is the position status or whatever, okay? Now, the cool thing about this is that on details pages, I have that records information available to me to use. So what I can do is, like, let's say that a person actually wanted to apply to this job. What I could do is I could go in here and add a block here, and I could add a form to this job. I'll just make this kind of a customizable form. And this comes with some kind of like standard fields that we can adjust. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set the destination of this form, like where's the data of this form going to be sent. I'll send this to actually a data source. And then I can select that data source again. So I'll send it to SmartSuite. I will send it to this Anchor Digital Workspace. I'll send it to the application tracking solution. And then I'll send it to the applicants, right? Or something like that. Okay. And so what I can do now is in this full name field, maybe I don't need these. Let's go ahead and just delete all these here. I would want to add more fields to this, right? Like I would be asking, please upload your resume or, the information about where they've worked or anything that I want to attach to this, I can add as a field here. So the one thing that I probably do need, though, is the email of the person and their name, right? At a minimum. And we can, use some of the fields that Marcus has set up for us here as well. So in our applicants table, you can see that we've got their name. We don't have one for email, but we could certainly add one if we wanted to. So we've got a name. Maybe we would ask them to upload the photo, and then the, what they're applying for, the location, maybe any notes that they want to add. So let's go ahead and kind of map these to our form very quickly. So I'll just do a text field here. We'll map this to the person's name, right? And we'll call this just name. This is a required field, right? We can do this for all fields. And then for the message, maybe this is mapped to the candidate notes, right? So this is the candidate notes. That is also a required field. And then let's add one more. Maybe we will add, let's add a hidden field here, right? Because in order to link the job that they're applying for to the actual submission, we actually need a hidden field to do this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to map this to the applying for, right? Because this applying for field is actually this kind of linked kind of field here, right? This applying for, this is actually linked to that head chef position there. So what I'll do is I'll actually go back to here, this applying for. The value here is going to be the current records. And then what we'll do is I'll set this to be the current records role, because that's the first kind of field in the positions table. I believe you can also use record IDs for this. Someone from SmartSuite, Marcus, you may know about that as well. But I'm just going to use that kind of first field there. All right. So then when the user applies for this, it'll automatically, they don't have to select what position they're applying for. It just automatically knows that, hey, this person's applying for this position. All right. So that's a very simple, quick way that we can do that. Now, as the person who's reviewing these applications, I also kind of need a way to look at who has applied, right? And so we can kind of do the same thing that we did with the positions, right? We just need a page to house all of the, a list of the applicants. And so we can do that very simply, very easily as well. So I'll just go over to pages here, and I'll go to add a new page, and I'll go to, maybe we'll call it like applicants or something like that. And then on this page, I can do essentially the same thing, right? So I can go in here and we can add a list, and maybe we will, let's do, now let's do this one. So this can be a list of applicants, right? We'll just connect it to our data source again. We will select our workspace, Anchor Digital, select our applicant tracking, and this one will be actually our applicants table, right? You'll notice that for the content, we can go in and actually, now that we have an image for each of these applicants, we can actually assign this to the actual photo for that particular applicant, right? And it's actually pulling this data directly from SmartSuite. And again, we can map all of these fields exactly the same way that we did with the positions table, right? And then we can even put in there, which one they're applying for, right? Which job they're applying for if we want to. So this is a really powerful way. You can see that once you've done this once with one dynamic block, it's crazy easy to do this with other ones as well. And a large part of this is actually really on the SmartSuite side, just structuring your data, your tables. Marcus has done an awesome job of putting all this stuff together. We've got some good sample data to work with, so it makes it super easy to map this stuff in Softr back to our SmartSuite instance. All right, so, but there's one last piece to this that I kind of want to go over, and that is we don't want everyone to see these particular pages, right? And so one of the powerful things about Softr is that you can actually assign users to your application and allow them to sign up, sign in, and to control what those users can see. So if I go over to this users tab, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sync my Softr users with a data source. So again, the exact same thing, SmartSuite. We will select Anchor Digital as our workspace. We'll select Applicant Tracking as the kind of solution that we're working with. And then in this case, we want the interviewers table, right? These are people who are actually doing the interviews of these applicants. Maybe we want those to be the users of our application, right? We've got that kind of public front end where anybody can apply and submit things, but then we've got this kind of back end that we want people to have to log in order to see. And this is really easy to do. So for this, we would need like an email field here. We may just go ahead and click on that. And then the name, right, is optional. We've got a bunch of other things here that are kind of optional for this. We can have a magic link field where a person can log in, create a date, last seen date, all these sorts of good things are kind of optional, but we really just need maybe an email and a name here. And then, so what I'll do is I'll save and sync. And once these users sync with our SmartSuite, with the table that we have set up in SmartSuite, and I'll just switch over to show you kind of what that looks like. So we've got this table of interviewers here. We've got Lucy, Andy Park, and Ari Bloom. And they've got some kind of phone interviews here with these particular applicants. They've got these on-site interviews as well with these particular applicants. And the awesome thing about this is these are now users of our application. Any changes that we make here, so if we go in here and we add a user, that'll be reflected in our Softr app as well, and then vice versa. So if a user signs up on Softr, they'll be synced back to our SmartSuite solution here, which is really pretty cool. So let's go back over here. You can see that the sync is completed now. I'll go ahead and refresh this table. And you can see there's the exact same people that we had in SmartSuite as users of our application. Now, there's still additional things that we could add to this. But as a baseline, what I can do is if I go back to my applicants page, we have this awesome feature called visibility that we can turn on. So let's say that I want this page to only be visible to people who are logged in, right? If I go up here to this little gear icon in the upper left called page settings, you can see that I've got options for visibility here. And instead of all users being able to see this page, I can set this to be only logged in users who can see this, right? And the cool thing about this too is that this is not just on a page basis. I can also do this on a block by block basis as well. So I'll just go ahead and save this here. But if I click on this block, let's say that I want the majority of people to see a page, but only certain people should see certain blocks. I can even get that granular as well. So if I click on this block and go into the visibility here, I can say, you know, all users should see this, but only logged in users. And then I can even define user groups based on certain criteria as well to say, hey, only an admin who's logged in can see this particular block, right? So there's tons and tons of flexibility in who can access what, who can see what, and we can even do this on a button level as well. So maybe only an admin should be able to add a new position, right, or list a new position. We can control who can add a record to that based on these kind of user groups that we set up. So in the users tab, you can see I've got a tab here called user groups. We very easily create a user group, called admins or something. And if we had a status field in our SmartSuite to do that, we could go into users based on conditions. We can either add them manually to that if we wanted to, or we could set it on conditions so that those users can flow in and out of those groups based on actions that they take inside the application, or things that we set manually on the SmartSuite side, right? So we can set if their email domain is piratetracker.com or something like that, right? We can set up those user groups and then control what a person can see based on those user groups, which is pretty cool. So we've got our kind of applicant tracking. There's obviously a ton more that we can do. For the sake of time, we don't have too much time to go too deep into that today, but there's a ton more that you can do here, right? So right now we've got kind of our list of positions. A person can click on that. They're taken to view more details about that position, and then they can actually fill out a form that ties them to that. And then on the opposite side of that, anyone who's logged in, they can actually go and review that application, right, and take whatever action is necessary. So there's a lot of really, really powerful things that you can do with it. Yeah, I hope that is helpful for you in seeing how SmartSuite and Softr can kind of work together. So very quickly, let me stop sharing real quick and jump over to this, to the questions here. On the SmartSuite pricing options, yeah, let's jump to two of these questions here. Fela, I'll answer yours first. Or, well, I guess Marcus will help us answer. On the SmartSuite pricing options, what does the 14, 30, 45, 60-day recycle bin mean? Does the data get deleted after those days? Marcus, you want to take that one?
Absolutely. So if you delete any of your records within SmartSuite, it goes into a recycle bin. So in case you deleted that, maybe in error, or like you need to retrieve that, your plan will actually determine how long that data gets held for. So on the most on the free plan, SmartSuite will hold that data for up to 2 weeks, and then as you scale plans, that data gets held for longer periods of time.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's awesome. Cool. And then Leia's asking, let's see, can you set it so that certain users can only see certain records, i.e. their own? Yes, absolutely. So that kind of goes along with the user groups. I'm not sure if you mean on the SmartSuite side or the Softr side. I'll answer from the Softr side. That's definitely possible using user groups. And you can also use advanced filtering in a list as well to say, hey, only show the records where the owner of that record is, has the logged in user's email, right, or something like that. So you can definitely, not just filter, but control the visibility of blocks and, even display only certain chart data to a certain user. So there's tons of awesome conditional filters that we just didn't have time to get into that are a part of Softr. What about on the SmartSuite side of things, Marcus?
Yeah, that's also possible on the SmartSuite side. You have a lot of granularity of how you can set the permissions, even down to the individual field level. And so, I think there are an infinite ways that you are able to customize. And actually, I know we only have a couple minutes left. I did add a role field to the interviewers table. So if you wanted to show just kind of like how you can set things based off of role, that should be available to you now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll share it really quick, and then you can kind of walk us through it real quick. Because yeah, we have 2 minutes left here. So you said on the interviewers, yeah, I see it here. So this role, and so can you explain a little bit about like how that may work on the SmartSuite side of things?
Yeah. So if whatever someone's tagged to, you can create certain views that are only visible to certain people, or you can create SmartSuite has teams, and so you can put people into certain teams and then share a solution or share a table or even certain views to specific teams.
Excellent. And that's all based on this role kind of field here.
That can be based off of the role field, but also the larger like global admin settings too.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, very cool. Yeah, and on the Softr side of things, you could certainly use this role field to define those user groups like I talked about as well. So yeah, tons of flexibility there, which is really, really nice to have. So All right. Let me go back and check the chat one last time
I have
here.
one last follow-up question.
Let's see. Yes, let's see. Do those permissions then filter between the systems? Yeah. So yeah, they would. So the nice thing about that is that any data that you have in SmartSuite, you can essentially use as filters, as conditions, as a user group. You can use and combine several different fields together to control what people can see. And because SmartSuite and Softr talk so well together, all of that stuff stays in sync. And I'm guessing, Marcus, on the SmartSuite side of things, that's kind of the case as well. I think you kind of
Absolutely.
the role thing. So
yeah,
awesome. Well, we are coming up on time here. Hopefully that was helpful for you all in getting your feet wet in SmartSuite and seeing how it can talk to Softr. I definitely want to thank Marcus Garrett. Thank you so much for coming on and showing us everything that you can do in SmartSuite and educating us on the awesome, powerful tools that are available there. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure Marcus would be happy to help you as well.
of course.
And we'd love to continue the conversation on social media and in the forums, anywhere that we can chat with you. We'd love to do that as well. So thank you all so much for joining. Marcus, thank you again. And we hope to see you all in the next one. Speaking of which, we do have another SmartSuite webinar coming up. I think it's on the 23rd, I believe. There should have been an email that went out with the registration link for this one. There's actually another one 2 weeks from now that's covering kind of a different topic. So we hope to see you at that one as well. So thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a great weekend and a good week next week as well.
All right. Bye.
See y'all.